Our theme for this class is feel into groovy. It couldn't be more timely. There is this sense that life is good. And sometimes we just have to sit in that place of life is good. It was like what we've been talking about before in classes of we're under the good sky. We've got to rehearse that, and life can feel groovy. So we're going to feel into that today in our practice to see how we can feel that. Things are still moving and nothing's static, nothing's staying the same. In fact, nothing stays the same. Everything is constantly in motion. So we're going to feel into that and see how that feels in our bodies. So big deep breath here. Close your eyes for a moment or two and just touch into the feeling that life is good. There is good underneath all the layers that seem to tell us otherwise. And if we just notice for a moment that there are places in our body that feel good and our organs are working well, keeping us here. And we're able to digest, and our minds are still clear. Yahoo. So we're actually going to start our practice with movement. So you can either keep your eyes closed or you can peek open your eyes. You're going to place your hands on your ribs so that the fingers come around the front and the thumb comes around the back. And you're just going to move it to the left and to the right, so that if your rib cage sat on a marble countertop, it would just glide left and glide right. And just start to notice if there's one glide that's super easy. Like for me, it's super easy to glide to the left, but gliding to the right takes a little more skill and awareness. So if that's true for you in your body, that one side doesn't glide as well, I would minimize the side that glides, and I would just maximize or focus on slowing down and seeing what it would take inside to glide a little bit more to the side that doesn't get it as well. And you just create this nice little groove of action that the body can then start to understand. And I like to note as I'm doing that, if there's anything else that then talks to me, like down in my back or a hip or in a shoulder, sometimes we'll see that there's a connection in our body that's causing or a part of that restriction. Okay, come back to center. Take a moment just to do a little shimmy. So left and right shimmy. So you just shake up the kinesthetic habits. Take another big deep breath into those ribs. And then you're going to take the ribs and circle them around. So again, if the ribs had a flat bottom, you were going to polish the top of the countertop. There's a little nice, beautiful polishing rag that sits on the bottom of if you just sliced yourself right underneath the rib cage, that polishing cloth would lay right there and you just polish around. And then we go the other way. And one of the ways we feel a little more groovy in our bodies is to loosen up this rib cage that for so many of us gets stuck in our pedestrian, common Western lives. We just don't use the rib cage like we might have in our evolutionary past. Come back to center. Beautiful. Just from here, just like a yawn, just stretch your arms overhead. You can grab one wrist or one hand and just dive over to the side, just lengthening side body. Breathing into that. We're going to be doing a lot of spinal mobility. And then go to the other side. Because I just think that we just start to feel much groovier in our body when we have that. Now you take your hands in a circle. It doesn't have to be a big circle. And you're trying to keep the arms and shoulders stable so that the whole thing is moving. And you just circle around and find your abdominal bracing, especially as the arms move forward in space, and then go the other way. And you can always slow down and explore where you're sticky or tight, or you could even speed up if that feels better to you. Sort of like turning the crank on a Model T Ford. We're just turning and opening up the body. Let's come back to center. Inhale, lengthen, release the hands, but just stretch the palms open and then close them and squeeze them. And go back and forth. Your arms are still overhead. You're creating that reverse lymphatic flow coming down the body. So you can imagine as you open and close your hands that there's just this beautiful liquid light that just starts to drop down into the body. Got about 5 more. Opening and closing. You want to do it to the point where you actually feel achy in the forearms and in the wrists. All right. Beautiful. Release that out. Hands down by the sides. Shake it out. I'm just keeping my eyes closed this whole time. It's okay for you to peek open if you need to. But from here, we just bring our hands into prayer. Let me just take a moment in this space to make an offering for what we'd love to feel more into in our lives today. And as you're ready, offer that with a bow. And we inhale to come back up to sitting. We seal that with a breath and an Om together to bring that vibrational, that creative potential into our bodies. Here we go, big deep breath. Gently release your hands and open your eyes. We're going to unkink our legs, take our blocks or blankets out, whatever we're sitting on, and we're going to come onto our backs. If you need a little neck roll, be my guest, but we are going to be doing some things with our arms and hands to give support to the neck, so just know that. The hands interlaced behind the head. And we begin to press that head down onto the floor. As we do, we might notice it also becomes easy to press the backs of the hips down onto the floor. And you might notice that the spine starts to lift up. I'm going to ask you to start to feel the shoulders into earth, feel the hips into the earth, and then exaggerate using your abdominals. See if you can exaggerate the arch, almost like you could grow it from the base of your spine up through belly button, up through ribs, up through heart, and all the way it arches up and around into the neck. Last breath here. Maybe take one more breathy swoop up the spine. And exhale, release all that energy and effort. From here, grab the sides of the head with the heels of the hands and just bring the chin up into your chest. And I want the elbows to be close to one another, not hanging out to the side. I want you to feel how different that feels. When they hang out to the side, you don't get that broad scapular connection to earth. And with the chin into the chest, see if you can start to go the other direction. So now the head is up, the tailbone's going to come up. It's harder to get a full cat tilt here, but from the tailbone, you use your abdominals and you drop down this time, down the spine, down to the belly button, down into the ribs, up into the chest, up into the chin, and then swoop. One more swooping breath. Just opening up that spine, and then exhale, start to lay it down. As you do, about halfway, you're going to squeeze the hands onto the sides of the head and lengthen out through the crown. And then the hands come down in T-pose, and you take a breath there. From here, you're going to inhale your right leg up to the sky so that it's just stacked right over your right hip. And you're going to extend the heel into the sky. So really drive that heel up. And as you drive that heel up, do you notice too that you get that lumbar curve again? You just really see if you can press that hip down, drive the heel up, feel the lumbar curve, and then match that with a little belly action. From here, you're going to turn that whole leg out without dropping it out to the side. So it's still staying stacked over the hip. but you turn it out into a duck toe. And then again, you press down with those hips, lift up with the spine, and you drive that heel up to the sky. And that's going to get into that outer hamstring a little bit. See if you can rotate it 1 more centimeter and drive the heel 1 more centimeter. And then keep it turned out and drape your right ankle over your left knee. Take a cleansing breath here. Inhale. As you exhale, press belly to the spine and bring your legs up. So we're going to call this muscly Sukhi Randrasana. So normally we use your hands on this, but I'm going to ask us to use our legs. So the right ankle presses into the left knee presses back, and we see if we can start to feel symmetrical in the hips. The backs of the hips are going to want to do some interesting things. Try to keep them symmetrical. And then inhale, sweep your arms back behind your head. And now listen carefully. Everything is laying against the floor, so nothing's lifting up. Inhale, drop belly to spine. As you exhale, glide your left hip and your left elbow towards each other. We're not lifting up. So as we inhale, belly drops to the spine. As we exhale, we try to glide the left hip and the left elbow together. Good. 1 more. Left or belly to the spine. Inhaling. Exhale, glide. You maybe get 1 more centimeter. And then come back to center. Drop your left foot to the floor. Unravel your right leg and take a cleansing breath. So that's really good for a number of things. Firing up the hips, but also the obliques, which are so good for stabilizing the spine. So here we go, second side. You're going to inhale and lift your left leg up to the sky. As you do so, you're going to drive that heel into sky. Like really work to straighten that leg without locking it, but driving the heel up. And at the same time, do you notice that there's a reverse action, like a rebound action that drops down and presses those hips into earth? And take 1 more breath there, really working on driving that up. And as you do, I bet you start to feel a little achiness in your quadriceps, so you're getting a benefit there too. Good. Then just rotate that foot out, so like a duck toe. You still drive, so you feel that rebound down into earth, and you find into that hip, you feel into that hip, and you try to 1 more centimeter get that heel up and inwardly rotated. Last breath. And then take that ankle over your knee for muscle action, Sukhi Randrasana. Inhale deeply, low back to the floor. As you exhale, muscle up those legs, pressing left ankle into right knee. And feel that Sukhi Randrasana. The leg that's behind the shin should stay parallel to the floor. It's going to want to drop a little bit, but to feel that full muscle action, I want it to be parallel to the floor at least. Good. And then you're going to inhale, sweep your arms over behind the head, and keeping everything down on the floor so nothing lifts up, you just glides. You inhale, low back to the floor, and you exhale, glide the right elbow to the right hip. So everything kind of swings. And then you inhale, low back to the floor, and you exhale, glide. Inhale, low back to the floor. Exhale, glide. Inhale, come on back. Exhale, drop that foot to the floor. Drop the other foot to the floor. Take them wide on the sticky mat, and just give yourself some windshield wipers. We're going to be really feeling into the strength and openness of our rib cage, really seeing if we can find not only mobilization and breath there, but also strength and power. Okay, and I think that'll make you just feel super good in your body. All right, come on back to center. We're going to do a little core work. So it's going to look like this. Hands are behind the head. Inhale, low back to the floor. Exhale, bring your knees up and into the chest. We're going to alternate. So the left elbow is going to tap the right knee as the left leg goes straight and hovers off the floor. And then you switch. So the right elbow taps the left knee
as the right leg hovers. And then we just go back and forth. 2, 2, and see if you can exhale, belly to spine on each tap. I think we're at about 5. 5, we're going for 10. 6, 6, exhaling. 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, and release. Feet to the floor, knees knock in, take a cleansing breath. And as you breathe, I really like to just move into that cow tilt. I just arch and feel that spine moving up and into the body. It's a good thing to rehearse. It's the opposite of flat back. Exhale, release out of that. We've got 10 more. So here we go, and if you can, start on the opposite side. So inhale, low back to the floor. Exhale, knees up into the chest. Inhale here. Exhale, tap left knee, extend right. And then 1, and 2, and 2, and 3, 3. Exhale as you tap. 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, and 10. Hug your knees this time. Bring them up into the chest. See if you can lift your tailbone off the floor. See if your feet can go a little higher. And see if you can look all the way through to your tailbone. Last breath. Whew. And then just a little bitty rock. You're going to rock if you can. This is yogi's choice. If this is super uncomfortable for you, just make your way up to sitting. Once we get up to sitting, we're going to gather our feet in as close as we can to our hips, and you're just going to encircle your arms around your knees, grabbing your opposite elbow if that works for you. If it doesn't, you just squeeze those upper arms into the knees. The knees give a little squeeze back. So there's that idea of, muscle response, I guess, or responsibility, great word. And as you squeeze, see if you can find those little muscles in the inner thighs that begin to support the lowest part of the spine and lengthen up all the way through the crown. Seeing if you can avoid lifting the chin up, but instead pulling the throat back over the heart and then extending all the way. Last breath. Beautiful. That'll fire up your hip flexors, which are an important part of core. Let's lift up one leg at a time. You can use your own your own hands and your ankles, and the other leg up, and see if you can just balance. Navasana, boat pose. One more breath here. Can you find that squeezing action and lengthen up through the crown? Then take your right ankle over your left. Bring your hands back to pull out the sitting bones, and then just kind of dive forward at an angle. And from here, we're going to stay in this long spine, but we're going to drop the chin to the chest, right ear to right shoulder, drop chin to the chest, left ear to left shoulder. And do a couple more of those. So you drop chin to the chest, right ear to right shoulder, chin to chest, left ear to left shoulder. Beautiful. Come on up. We bring our legs close into the body. We hug them. We're imprinting now that action at the base of the spine. So you grab those knees, and there's a little resistance there. So the knees, they hug back. As you hug the knees, they push back a little bit. And you see if you can find that place right at the base of the spine that moves you up. And it's going to be easy here for the face to move forward. So you bring the sides of the throat right over the heart as best you can. Last breath. Extend through the crown and down through the tail. Good. Here we go. We grab one ankle and lift it, and the other ankle and lift it. At least we're doing a supported Navasana, boat pose. One more breath here. And then the left ankle comes over the right. As they drop down, we reach on back and pull the sitting bones back and apart. Hands can go forward. They could even be on blocks. And you start to lengthen forward. It's not
it's not a competition to see how much we can stretch those hips yet. It's trying to keep the hips back and apart and the spine long. Then we drop the chin to the chest and swing the left ear to the left shoulder. Drop the chin to the chest, sweep the right ear to right shoulder. Chin to the chest, left to left. Chin to the chest, right to right. Beautiful. Come on back up. From here, the ankles just cross and you swing forward and through to tabletop. And in tabletop, we're going to turn our hands backwards. It's all familiar. And our toes tucked under. And we just take a breath there and imagine that the inner edge of the arms, the ones that are facing to the front of the mat, we're actually pushing against a wall so that that whole side body gets long, and then we wag the tail. So the tail goes left and the tail goes right. And you want to remember that same work we did on our back for the obliques, where the belly is supportive to the spine, but you're squeezing the waistlines to create more strength there. And a couple more breaths here. And then you come back to center and peel off those hands, and we'll just shake them out. Shake out those wrists. Okay, let's come back to hands and knees. As we listen carefully, we sweep both feet to the right. So now they're crossing over the long edge of the mat. The right hand, it turns out, so it's like 2 o'clock. The left leg stretches out to the back, the short edge of the mat. And now we're in a position that we could call a modified Vajrasana side plank pose. And we just, not Vajrasana, Vashisthasana, excuse me. And then we just take our top arm and we stretch. So we get that stretch all the way. I want you to root and ground your left foot, and then feel the belly, feel into the belly, have it pull back onto the spine, and then stretch. And maybe you could even turn up and look at the top hand. Oh, and then release that down. Come back to tabletop. Take a cleansing breath. You can look up for cow tilt. You can press down for cat tilt. And then here we go, second side. So we swing both feet to the left, so they cross over the long edge of the mat. The left hand turns out like it's pointing to 10 o'clock. The right leg stretches out to the back short edge of the mat. And the right arm sweeps up overhead. And you feel that right foot pressing into earth strongly. You reach up, making sure if you peek down at your left arm, it was turned outwards. And then belly to spine, we stretch up and maybe even turn and look at the top hand if that works for you. And then gently release that. Come on back to sit on back on your heels. Vajrasana, we sweep the arms up overhead, interlace them behind the head. The elbows don't stay wide. They can drop in a little bit, so they're just natural. They're not doing any action. And then you start to push the head back into the hands. Not to lift the chin, but to just push and feel that strength. And I want you to notice that as you do that, there's a couple tendencies. One is to round the back like a cat tilt. The other, for some people, would be the opposite of a cow tilt. So just notice what your tendency is. As you press, can you also add bracing, abdominal bracing? So from the belly, the ribs, and the sternum all pushing back. So you're getting a nice isometric action here. Resetting the neck, close your eyes. Feel into this, seeing if you can pull your throat right over your heart. And again, there's the abdominal bracing. One more breath. And then very gently release. That's such a great neck reset. We're going to remember that action. We may not do it exactly the same, but we're going to remember what that feels like. Come into tabletop. We're going to tuck our toes under and come into squat dog. That means we press the hands forward
to get long in the spine, but the knees stay bent, really bent, and the feet press in. And we remember what it was like to bring the knees together without them coming together. So it's an isometric action. The belly lifts in and up to the spine, and you just stretch. From here, inhale, push yourself into plank, and then exhale back to squat dog. And we're just gonna do that. We got 5 of those. So inhale for 2. Exhale back to squat dog. Inhale to 3. Exhale back to squat dog. Inhale to 4. Exhale back. Inhale to 5. From here, you're gonna make your full plank, bringing the belly, the ribs, and the sternum up into the body, but melting the back of the heart. Last breath. Neck in line with heart. Inhale. Exhale, drop knees to the floor, drop hips to the floor, and see if you can make your way slowly, mindfully, carefully down onto your belly. And you're just gonna rest your forehead on your hands for one of my signature moves, which I just really credit with really helping me heal my low back. Your toes are tucked under. You can gently hike the hips and knees and walk them slightly forward. It's just a small action. So the butt starts to rise up in the air. You push down with your forehead, your knees, your feet, and you go for lifting the booty as high as you can. And you recruit the core. And you can keep walking your feet, tucking them under to help you. And you breathe, lift, 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 lift. You're gonna go as far as you can. Don't forget, the abdominals help here. Last breath. Oh, beautiful. And release that down. And then you plant all 10 toes on the floor and you just wiggle left and right, letting your head go with you. So a little lymphatic movement and lots of breath. Another breath or 2. Really feeling those lungs. Inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. From here, we come on up into Sphinx. So we come up onto forearms, and all 10 toes press down strongly on the mat. We bring muscle energy up to the booty, and we imagine we could draw our booty to the back of the head. From that kind of strength and from activating core, so bringing the whole front body back, we try to sneak our hands back without losing any of that height. And then we interlace our hands. And I like to say, keep the hands stable, but lift the shoulders. Then the hands can lift the feet like a little fishing rod. And then we keep the hands stable, lift the shoulders, and then the hands can lift the feet. Like they're all connected. Hands stable, shoulders lift, hands lift feet. Beautiful. Release that. Place your hands down by your chest. Inhale, cobra, to tabletop, to child's pose. And we're going to go back and forth between those actions now. So we roll up through like a cat tilt. You can just kind of walk your hands forward and lay your hips down and roll down through your spine. And then roll up through your spine using your abdominals and your back muscles to tabletop, and then push back to child's pose. We've got 4 more of those. So inhale, roll up. Exhale, roll down all the way. Inhale, strong legs, strong belly, strong back. Child's pose. Inhale up. I think we've got 2 more. Exhale down. It's just kind of like undulating, teaching the spine that kundalini-like energy of movement, of fluidity, of articulation. Last one to make our way up. We come on back. We're going to walk our feet together. Yogi's choice, toes tucked under or not. Inhale, fly the arms up. Interlace goofy fingers. Bring the hands behind the head.
Let the elbows migrate forward. As you do, press the head back into the hands without lifting the chin. It stays stable. And then you activate core. So see if you can keep the sitting bones on the heels, and there's a lumbar curve. But as you press the head back and try to bring throat right over heart, you have to brace through the front body. Got a few more breaths here. Really resetting the neck, making it strong. Feel into that. Notice what you feel. Drive the crown to sky. And then exhale. Release. Let's come back to downward facing dog, regular one. So make sure that the wrist creases are straight to the front of the mat or slightly turned out. Tuck your toes and step up to your dog. That doesn't mean your legs need to be straight. The heels can be lifted and the knees can be soft here. You're going to imagine the whole back side of the arms are pressing forward against a wall. So there's a uplift there. Similar to what we did before, now it's the back sides of the arm. And the head presses against the imaginary hands here. And you might notice that you get a little different change in the way that the body shapes itself. Strong abdominals, last breath. Lots to think about to get grooviness into the feeling state of the body. Inhale, but it's all doable. Inhale, tippy toes. And we just do one or two things at a time, right? To get ourselves into that place. Uttanasana will meet there, standing forward fold with an exhale so that we can release our body's energies down into ground. Last breath here. See if you can bring that breath up the legs, up through the spine to the crown of the head, and then back down again. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana, legs bent. We try to get the thighs back. Hands come to the hips. We try to get the heart back. Belly strong, it responds. Inhale, come up to standing. Exhale, release your hands. Beautiful. Take your arms out to the side here in a strong stance. You're going to turn your left foot out. That's your right foot, excuse me. You're going to stand on your left foot, and your right foot is going to turn out. Your left leg, the standing leg, is strong, but it's soft. There's a sense that it really enters the earth with great energy. And the right leg turns out, so the knee goes way out to the side as best it can. It's kind of like what we did at the beginning, trying to turn out that thigh. And then if you can transfer your weight so that your right foot touches your left shin. From here, sweep the arms up overhead. And then to get groovy, you drop one arm down and reach the other, and then see if you can switch. So just for fun, you got to keep strong. You're going to wobble, maybe. I know I'm wobbly. But you're going to try to keep your legs strong and your core strong as you get kind of groovy with your arms. One more breath. Beautiful. Bring them out to the side. Inhale, exhale. Bring that knee into the chest if you can. Hug it for a moment and then let it down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think your left leg's feeling it, so shake it out. Let those hips wiggle left and right. Big deep breath. Let's try that all second side. So standing on your right leg, it's soft. You turn your left leg out like a kickstand, and that knee, it just really opens as best as it can to the side without you turning. You're not trying to turn the hips, you're trying to keep the hips straight forward. And you can feel into that if you want. You can feel into those hip points as you turn it out. Beautiful. And as you feel into that soft but strong right leg, see if you can tap your left foot onto your left shin. Please not onto your knee. Arms out to the side, sweep up overhead. See if it's almost like climbing or reaching for the top rung of a ladder. And whew, it's a challenge. You've got to keep the core strong and the legs strong. And you reach and reach and reach. Yeah, and even if you lost your balance, the reaching is good for you, right? So yeah, it's good. Whoa! And maybe you fall and you feel like a little kid, and that's good too.
Those kids don't care if they fall, they just love that. All right, inhale, arms out to the side. Exhale, bring the knee into the chest, hug it, and we try to take it down for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stepping to the front of the mat. If you're not already there, inhale, fly. Exhale, dive, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend your knees, take your right leg back in a lunge. I highly recommend blocks for this next one, so hopefully they're handy. So now we're just in a left leg forward lunge. We're gonna turn that left foot out so the toes point to 10 o'clock. We're gonna get a little bit different hip stretch there. Then grab your blocks if you need to, but place them over to the right. So now we got the left foot turning to the left, but the hands and the torso turning to the right. And we wanna try to keep the legs steady and strong, so we bring that muscle action all the way up the legs and the belly. It moves onto the spine, but the hips start to lift up as your torso starts to move forward. Remember that tippy bird idea that as the head drops or the shoulders drop, the hips lift. So we have this always this nice tippy spine, and you just breathe here. And it's okay to move. It's okay not to feel stuck, to kind of gently move through those hip sockets. If you need to, be careful of those, but just go gently and give them a little movement. Make sure there's some infrastructure there that protects you. Good. And then go ahead and walk back. You can bring your blocks with you. Frame that front foot. You're just going to kick up the back foot almost like you're trying to touch your back booty. If that's hard on your knee, place a blanket under. You're just waking up that hamstring. Breathing, squeezing, strengthening hamstring fibers. So important. Okay, last one. And then we just pull on back into runner's lunge. And if you're tight, just bring your blocks to the high level. And again, it's good here to swing. So hips can be like on a swing, they just swing out to the left, swing out to the right, and it just lines up those fibers of the hamstrings. And then you come back to center, so both hip points like light beams are pointed straight ahead, and then you can just walk your blocks forward and feel that stretch. Remember, it's like tippy bird. So you don't want to round here and get your head lower in your hips. As the hips come up, the torso goes down. One more breath. Beautiful. Then we just rock it forward and back. We're going to take it all the way into Uttanasana, so use your blocks if you need to. We'll meet there on an exhale, stepping forward, bowing forward. Feel the difference between left and right side bodies. Oh, much groovier on the left. Good. I want to make the right side body just that lovely. So inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend your knees, bring the blocks by your ankles, step the left leg back to a bent knee lunge. And just take a moment there just to get that first stretch in, to breathe. And then you turn your right foot out so it's pointing to like 2 o'clock. The blocks go to the left. Yep. And so remember, it's like tippy bird. So as the hips come up, the torso goes down, and you can use blocks in any configuration you want. Give yourself a break so that you can feel the goodness in your body and life. And just go ahead and swing a little bit. Just move a little bit in those hips. Give a little beautiful, what, massage, I guess. And I know when you get into those hips, you release a lot of synovial fluid. It's like a really nice, juicy fluid that helps. Okay, good. We're gonna walk ourselves back to surround that front foot. You're gonna flex that front foot, come into runner's lunge. The hips can go left and they can go right here. So before you go into the stretch, swing out those hamstring fibers, get those all aligned, and just feel into the body parts that feel sticky as you do so. And then come back to center. As the hips go back and up, the torso goes down. No need to get the head to the shin. You want to get strong. You want to
keep the alignment of the lumbar spine, match that with belly. One more breath. And then come on back, rock it forward and back a little bit. We'll do one more standing forward fold. Here we go, meet in standing forward fold, Uttanasana, for an exhale or two. That means you gotta do an inhale too, right? So breathe up the body like you're just trying to breathe oxygen from the feet, the arches, all the way up into the crown, and then back again. It's like a little internal massage. Okay, from here, we're gonna lift our heels and bend the knees. I'm gonna actually hop back a little bit, and I'm gonna have you just kind of walk your way to the right side of the mat. I still have my blocks in my hands, and my legs are just stacked. It's like a little bit of a squat. I'm gonna walk my blocks to the left. So it's just like a little twist, and you can bring your blocks up nice and high. And as you root down through the legs, you just give yourself a little twist. I actually like to take my elbow into my knee there to create a little more twist through the spine. This feels good. This is actually a prep for a real pose that's hand balancing, but I won't make you do that. One more breath there. Beautiful. And then you can drop your knees to the floor for a moment, untuck your toes and sit on back, take a breath. We got one more of those twists. We're gonna turn. You can turn to the other side, or you can just put your back to me. You're gonna sit on back. So you got tucked toes under, you're on tippy toes. You walk your blocks to the side, so they're framing that thigh bone. And then you press down, you lift up. I like to even tuck my elbow into the knee and feel if I can just gently twist my spine over to the side, freeing up the ribs. Last breath. And then I release that and come onto my knees. We're coming onto our backs. Grab your strap before you get there. Lie all the way down on your backs. And you can just stretch your arms overhead, do a couple snow angel movements. You just enjoy the supported movement of arms. Adding your breath. All right, you're gonna lasso your left foot with your strap. Kind of looks like what we did at the very beginning, but now we're warmed up, and you might notice that feels way different. But as you drive the heel up into the sky, feel the return, the retraction of hips onto mat. You can do this in two ways. You can keep it just like this. If you want more of a challenge, you straighten the right leg. Here's the deal though, I want you to still drive that heel and feel the hips encounter earth. And then from there you pull, you brace the front body. If that all works, you can see if you can just get another inch or two in that hamstring. I sometimes like to curl up and just add a little abdominal work there. And then I take the strap in my right hand, both straps, both sides in my right hand. My left hand comes out into a T, and I cross that leg across the body, almost like it's trying to reach the floor, but it's only gonna go till it's parallel. And my right elbow that's holding the strap is on the earth. So I can use that a little bit. I can press into that and try to drop the left shoulder on the mat. So I just feel a really strong twist. And then I drive through that heel and just feel how that feels. One more big cleansing breath. Beautiful. And then using my abdominals, I sweep that leg back up to the sky, bend the knee. I can remove the strap here as I take half happy baby, just knee in towards the ribs or armpits. And I like to do a little core work here too, but that's yogi's choice. I just like to curl up and find my abdominals and then gently release.
You're gonna bend both knees again as we go to second side. You drape your strap over your right foot. Make sure it's on the mounds of the toes, not on the toes, not on the arch. And you take that right leg into the sky and you drive the heel up so that you feel that also return to earth, that return action. And then you can stay there. Be happy to be where you are. If it feels really groovy and good for you, stay there. Otherwise, stretch the left leg out long. But you still want to drive that heel up so you feel the planting of the back of the hips on the mat. And you just breathe there. And then again, I like to do a little core work here. Somehow it feels like it connects me deeper. And then I'm going to take this strap as I come back down into my left hand. My right hand goes out in T. I come across the body in a twist until my left elbow touches and my right leg is parallel to the floor. You can press through that left elbow and it'll help you pull your right shoulder back onto earth. Great hamstring stretch and twist. Drive through that heel. Feel that energy also pulling back through the thigh. One more breath. Good. Exhale, belly to spine. Bring that leg up. Take half happy baby. You can take the strap off now. Beautiful. And just feel, again, I like to do a little core work here. I just feel like whenever we can get that in there, the better. And I try to lift my spine off the floor and then release that head down and bring the other leg up. So you do full happy baby. And remember, all babies move, so get groovy. Just move around. Enjoy the movement, stretching of your body as you play a little bit in the body. We are so fortunate to have this healing practice in our toolbox. Bring the feet together, rub them a little bit. It's transformative. It brings steadiness into our lives, and also the sense that there are things that we can do to make ourselves strong and centered. Feet onto the floor, knees out to the side, arms to where you want them, T pose or Y pose. Take another breath or two here just to let the bones start to drop into earth before you go into Shavasana. I've gone over a little bit today, so I want to leave you here and ask you to consider being here for another 5 minutes, letting everything go, just practicing the art of letting go. Letting go tension from feet, hands, face, jaw, mind, belly, organs. Thank you so much for sharing your practices with me and entrusting your yoga into my hands. I'm so grateful. Namaste. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Namaste.